Good afternoon. I'm Chris Sowell, and I'm the lead pastor at the Heritage Church of God in Gilbertown, Alabama. I want to talk to you today about communication in Christianity. Do you have to be a salesman to lead someone to Jesus Christ? Or do you have to be a lawyer to be an evangelist? No. To fulfill the great commission of Jesus Christ, as we read in Matthew 28:19, where it says, "Go into all the world and make disciples," all we have to do, it's as simple as being a friend. Do you love Jesus? Do you have a friend? Well, you are well on your way to being a Great Commission Christian. Interpersonal communication is the process by which at least two people send and receive information through methods such as face-to-face communication or body language, maybe small groups, even email or other social media. When I think about interpersonal communication, there's four very powerful yet practical principles that you and I should know. Interpersonal communication is inescapable. We cannot not communicate. That's what we do. We communicate. The novel idea that I'm just not going to communicate is fallacy. We all are communicating even when we're not attempting to. So therefore, interpersonal communication is indeed inescapable. Secondly, interpersonal communication is irreversible. Have you ever heard the statement that you can't unspill milk? Well, neither can you retract a statement. You can't take it back. Communication, when it escapes our lips or escapes our actions or escapes our keyboard, that communication is out there forever. Not necessarily in the context of which we spoke it or delivered it, but it's there in the context of the one who received it. So that leads me to my third thought. Interpersonal communication is complicated. It's complicated in the fact, number one, that social media and email doesn't give us the advantage of voice inflection, nor does it give us the benefit of facial expression. We may can capitalize or bold our letters, but even then, our communication is hindered in the way that the reader will receive it. Communication is complicated, one-on-one, or one to a group, or one to a mass. Communication is indeed complicated. In fact, Osmo Villa, in a flippant way to Murphy's Laws, gave these laws of communication. He said, if communication can fail, it will. He said if a message can be understood in different ways, then it will be understood in just the way that will bring the most harm. Thirdly, he said, there's always someone who knows better than you what you meant to say. Also, he said, the more communication there is, the more difficult it is for communication to succeed. These tongue-in-cheek maxims that he gave to us, they may be humorous, but they are still painfully true. And they are a reminder of how powerful communication really is. Of those four principles of interpersonal communication, the fourth is this: interpersonal communication is contextual. Communication like this takes place on many levels, and we need to be aware of those levels. Psychologically, relationally, situationally, environmentally, and culturally, all of these things affect communication, the way it is given, the way it is received. These factors can affect the reception of the message that we're trying to speak. As it relates to ministry and leading others to Jesus, discipleship and evangelism, in ministry, relationships lead to discipleship. And with this Great Commission directive in hand, a quality relationship is the glue to discipleship. When you think about the theme of the Bible, Would you say that the theme of the Bible is salvation? Is it love? Is it grace? Is it redemption? What would you say that the overcasting theme of the Bible is? I personally believe that it's relationship. The fact that our God is a Trinity is relational. Also, the fact that we were created in His likeness and in His image speaks relationship. Our church that we belong to is relational. Jesus is the groom and the church is the bride. Also, Scripture tells us that even our body is an example of relationship, that each part of our body depends on the other to do its job so that there is freedom and there is health and there is vitality in the body. Even our body is relational. Therefore, relationals are essential in the discipleship dynamic. To lead another person into a deeper relationship with Christ, I have to have a relationship with that person. It may not be a best friend relationship. It may just be an acquaintance relationship. But I'll never speak to a person on a spiritual level without a relationship. And that interpersonal communication, one-on-one, is paramount to that relationship. 30 years ago in business, human resources departments would hire the candidates based on their palette of ability. They would see what they could do, they could see what they would bring to the table, and they would hire or not hire them based on those things. But now, since that time, 30 years later, many Fortune 500 companies recognize the importance of interpersonal communication. Some have even said that the soft interpersonal skills, they contrast with the analytical problem-solving skills. And many managers are starting to discover that an ability to learn and grow in the job is either limited or is accelerated based on their ability to empathize and cope with their other employees. The workplace is highly affected by interpersonal communication. Ministry, evangelism is affected by interpersonal communication. In fact, evangelism is the vehicle for men and women to come to Jesus and to become Christians. Discipleship and relationships make for the greatest method of evangelism. Now, there's many methods that are used in evangelism. There's the door-to-door evangelism where you go out and cold knock on doors and offer your story and offer your testimony and attempt to lead someone to Jesus. Then there's evangelism by way of a sermon where the minister speaks to the congregation. Lifestyle evangelism, where simply living out our faith before those onlookers becomes that method of evangelism. There's creative evangelism that uses music and drama and dance and films to present the gospel. There's web evangelism, where the internet is used to share the gospel and to share the story of Jesus Christ. But I want to present to you today that the greatest method of evangelism, the absolute greatest, is friendship evangelism. Many of the people that God wants me to witness to is people that I already know, people that are already in my life. Each person has their own circle of influence, that network of people that are connected to their life that we should be witnessing to. There's our family and friends and neighbors, co-workers, associates. And all of these relationships yield an incredible opportunity to share the gospel. When it comes to sharing the gospel, one of the things that is very important for you and I to know is that there must be a high level of trust. For the person that I'm witnessing to or sharing the gospel to, that listener, for their mind and their heart to be open to what you and I will say, there must be a trusting relationship. It's critical. It's critical to that delivery of the gospel. That level of trust can only be obtained through relationship. Trust that comes through friendship relationship is the door to evangelism and discipleship. Walk through the door. Those associates in your life, walk through the door. Consequently, it all is foundational to interpersonal communication. One person sitting down with another person and sharing the gospel. Interpersonal communication. It's powerful. Thank you.